Hi, Assalamualaikum. Khalil here, and today I would like to share my startup journey. This presentation is for my adik-adik at MRSM Chepa, and I will share what does it take to become a tech startup founder. Right. And I am currently the co-founder and CEO of Mesoltica, AI startup in Malaysia, and we train a narrow AI to understand bahasa Melayu. So that's our core expertise. Before jumping into the whole journey, this presentation will be mainly about my experience that I've gone through these past 4 years and what the fundamentals on what you need to do to become a tech startup founder. Right, a little bit background of myself. I finished my SPM in 2000, batch 24 from MRSM Pengkalan, and I have about 18 years in experience in the tech industry. I've been doing jobs way back in 2002 from utilities companies, telecom industry, payment systems, and most recently in entrepreneurship as well as e-commerce. I've got my first salary back in 2002 as an IT analyst, 2 years after finishing SPM. I got my first degree from Open University in 2010 in Bachelor in IT and Management. And I left the corporate world about 10 years after my first job and entered into entrepreneurship somewhere in 2014. And I've involved myself in programs such as Magic Stanford Go-to-Market in 2017, and currently I'm going through a mentoring program with Credit Investments which will finish in 2021. And I believe in the next decade, these are the three things that you, as the future leaders, will have to have: exponential technology, all about AI, robotics, 3D printing, biotech, and so on and so forth. Design thinking, a skill set where you find out solving current problems and creating innovations, solutions around and solving those problems. And finally, something that I believe everybody has to have, digital marketing skills, where you use digital, you use the internet to sell, promote anything for yourself, for your family, for your business, and your organization in the future. So these are the three things that I believe for the next 10 years is important to acquire in your journey moving forward. And coming back to myself, after SBM, I didn't go to overseas on a scholarship. I rejected that. I didn't want to do engineering. Instead, with the support of my family, I obtained my professional certificates from Microsoft in programming as well as data management. So what is the difference between an entrepreneur, a traditional entrepreneur, and a startup founder? Okay, so the difference for entrepreneur is they look at opportunities and they create successful business with the aim of getting profits, as well vis-a-vis versus a tech startup founder. It starts out with just an idea, right? And using technology to disrupt existing ecosystems or status quo, and of course eventually building a successful business. So that is the fundamental difference. And just a little statistics, hard statistics, 9 out of 10 startup fail. So ponder on that. So whoever continues on this startup journey is really a hard journey, I can say, but it is an exciting and fulfilling one if you find the right idea to work on. So typically, it all starts with an idea, right? You form your team, then you build your product, and then you capture the market. So this is where from ideation, concepting, commitment, validation, scaling, and establishing. However, for this presentation, I will only focus on the first two phases: the vision and mission, and the MVP. But before we go further, let's go back to myself, how I started. Right, before I became a tech startup founder, I was just an entrepreneur. Right, I know that I want to build a business on the internet, and I started off doing e-commerce, learning how to sell online as its first skills, most important skills that I learned. And from there, I built a tribe, I built my following, I built a platform around it, where this is an event that I invite my early adopters and my mentor. to launch my new platform in 2014. So this mentor, I met her in my early journey, where I learned about the system called drop shipping, and from there I followed her journey until she opened up her first brand, Desandra, selling perfume, and I branched out to develop my own company, which is dropshipping.co. So this idea, this platform, is the first startup, I can say my first startup in the world, that I pitched to Magic in 2016. So this was my first time pitching in front of people, presenting my ideas. In the format is simple. It's just a 5-minute pitch to tell about what's your idea about, and how you're gonna do it. Right? And Sam is the first judge, the first how should I say, mentor, celebrity that I met inside the ecosystem in Malaysia, the startup ecosystem. And from there, using the same idea of dropshipping.co, I applied to Magic's premier program, which is the Magic Stanford Go-to-Market, and I got accepted. And I learned a lot from this experience, this 1-week experience bootcamp, where the professors from Stanford University San Francisco came down and taught us how to build a successful startup using the Silicon Valley formula. So this was really an eye-opening experience for me. It shows that even with a small idea on how do you capture the market, how you grow it, and how do you change the world. So this event gave me the confidence to further pursue my love for entrepreneurship and finding new ideas that I can work on. And I'm truly grateful for this experience, and I seek, if you're on this journey, I strongly believe you can seek out this similar in other programs as well. Okay. Moving on, one of the lessons that I learned that I find important, that I also advise other people in this becoming a startup founder, is that you have to network, right? Grow your circle, meet new people, expose yourself to new environments, right? Don't be comfortable in a single place, right? So it's all about going out of your comfort zone. So for me, I start out with Magic, and then I move on to MDEC, Cradle, the government agencies. DEFCON is a group of developers. Even though I had a technology background, but I was out of date. I was out of touch. I didn't know what was the latest technology. So DEFCON was a community that I put myself in, and I learned from the developers back then. They're not startup founders, but they are CTOs, people, engineers, software engineers that are working in companies, in startups, and using the latest technology. So that's also where I found my co-founders for my latest startups. Pepentos and HLX are communities for entrepreneurs. They are co-working spaces where we meet other people. For Pepentos, I meet international entrepreneurs. For HLX, I was able to meet corporate entities inside the ecosystem as well. So I implore for young entrepreneurs to also what I call community hopping, right? Move to one community and bring your experience, learn from others, and teach others your experience. 2019, end of 2018, the journey continues for me, where I was offered to become the CEO of Mesotica, the current startup that I am doing right now. And this is where I met Sam again, right? My first judge, my first pitch, the judge for my first pitch. He is the co-founder of Watchtower and Friends, and a local accelerator program, and also co-founder for Pitchin, a crowdfunding company where they invest in startups, right? So from there, this is where I continue the journey of my startup journey with Mesotica, where today I'm going through another program, a 1-year program with Cradle Investment, coaching and mentoring to help grow my AI company. So, but all along this journey, another most important support that I managed to secure is from Google Cloud for startups, and today we've secured almost $500,000 ringgit in cloud support. That means we use those funds to help with our R&D, right? To help build the AI that we are building for Bahasa Melayu. Not only that, last year I've involved myself beyond Malaysia. I signed up for this, what we call the startup school by Y Combinator, the most famous uh, accelerator program for startups in the world, so where Airbnb, Dropbox, Reddit, and Twitch started. So Startup School is an online version of the content that I teach in the accelerator, where over 8 to 10 weeks we go through the program. We learn from each other founders around the world. So in this case, I met a few in Europe and in India. We exchange idea every week on our progress, share our progress, and learn from each other. So it's a free program, and the only thing that you need to do is commit your time. Right? It forces you open up yourself to outside of Malaysian founders. So I encourage you to do the same. So continue back on the startup journey, vision, mission, and MVP. So there are 4 questions that you need to ask whenever you have an idea, right? First is what is the problem that you are tackling, and who is it for? I mean, what is the origin? Is it your own problem? Is it your friend's problem? Is it somebody that you witness yourself? And how big is this problem, right? Next is, okay, what is the solution? What is the product that you bring to the market, right? Is it something unique? Is there any competitors? How are you different from other people that are doing and solving the same problem? So this is the fundamental questions that you have to ask. Next is, how do you make money from this idea? Again, is it a subscription? Is it selling a product? And how big is the market? This problem, this solution that you're solving, is it only 1,000 people that you're helping out? Is it 1 billion worldwide? And who are the competitors in this market? These are the important questions that you have to do your research and answer. And finally is, who are the people behind this startup? Who are your teammates that's going to help you bring your idea to fruition and be successful? So these are the 4 questions that you have to ask before embarking into any new ideas or startups. Next, we'll move into the MVP stage. So MVP is what we call the minimum viable product, where you build the most basic version of your idea, a complete version, right? So an example is you're building a skateboard first. It can move, but it's slow, right? Not build just one tire as the picture depicts. Then you improve based on the customer's feedback. Then you build the bicycle, you build a motorcycle, and every time you improve on the features, adding new features, making it much more pleasant to use, and grow beyond that, right? So it's not about building one piece at a time. It's about building one complete version at at each phase, and always better and better and better. So that's what MVP is all about. So when it comes to setting up the startup, it's all about who are your teammates, right? The last question, the 4 questions, the last one is the team, right? So you can be either 3. A perfect team has the hustler, the hipster, and the hacker, right? Depending on what your skill sets are, you can be either one, you can be a combination of the 3. But a perfect number is 3, right? For the hustler, it's all about business. It's about pitching. The idea is about the numbers, okay? How you grow the business. And typically this is the CEO or COO. The hipster is the one that does the marketing and talks to the customer and build the design, improve the product over time. So typically this is the chief marketing officer or chief product officer. And finally is the hacker that will develop your product. He is the one responsible for the technology to develop the product in whatever form, a web app, application, a hardware, and this is typically the chief technology officer. So one advice is you can start alone as a solo founder, but it's going to be a hard journey because it's all you start yourself. Like myself, I start with one person. I was the one doing the programming, I was doing the marketing, talking to the customer, I was also doing the pitching to investors. But this is you have full control, right? So if you have a small team of 3, you have to have the team has to complement each other, the most important thing. So when it comes to learning this in casual mode, I suggest you watch Silicon Valley series from HBO, or the latest startup Korean drama from Netflix. So this I think for me it's the closest depiction of real life startup founders in the entertainment format. Go check it out. So I will leave you with this quote: "Dream big." That means you think global. you start small. That means you solve your in your local domain, in your country, in your city, in your community. But most important is you start, right? Because by doing this, start small, you are able to fail fast, right? And you have to be comfortable with failure. This is another thing that as a stack founder that you will definitely fail. The faster you fail, the better, because you will learn and you bring yourself up to work on the same idea, a better version of the idea, or you move on to the next idea, right? So how do you go through this motion of starting and failing is to have this what we call this growth mindset. I encourage you to Google this term, growth mindset, and try to understand the framework and what does it take to have this mindset starting now, right? And from the many success story that you will see, typically it always boils down to having to be in the right place, having the right to be in the right place, the right time, having the right mindset, which is a growth mindset, and of course have the right team, right? If your team currently doesn't work, continue on finding new people for your next idea, right? So for me, for the past 4 years, I've started with dropshipping. 2017, I've failed to push the dropship idea, a variation of dropshipping. And Alhamdulillah, 2018, I was offered to become the CEO of Mesotica, which is an exciting startup for me. Working on AI, it forces me to go out from my comfort zone and try something new. And Alhamdulillah, we are still pushing for the success for Mesotica. And at the meantime, I started Humra, a tech consultancy for SMEs or other companies to hop on into the exponential technology bandwagon or digital transformation. And 2020 is all about the pandemic. So Usahawan it was a self improvement program that I gone through myself, and now I'm sharing with other people under the Usahawan brand. So every year I try to come up with something exciting to do, and for now is Mesotica and Usahawan that I'm focusing on right now. And of course, with all endeavors, I implore you to find your mentor. I mean, you find your idol that you will inspire to do big things. And for myself, I read the biography from Elon Musk when it came out, and I was inspired with his journey, all the crazy ideas that I do. And because I was following it closely, I've seen how it transformed the world, right? From SpaceX, that now it can land the booster on back up after launching, and then Tesla with the self-driving car, and other ventures. Now they're planning to go to Mars. So it's an exciting journey to follow this person, Elon Musk. I suggest you to find your own mentor. If it's not Elon Musk, you can find other people that inspire to do great things. So with him, Elon Musk always talk about the first principle thinking, where how he innovates is through this first principle thinking. I suggest you can Google this or YouTube, search on YouTube, first principle thinking, to find out more what does it mean. And with that, I thank you for your time, for listening to my sharing. You can follow my journey on my Facebook. I'm active there, Khalil Nooh. And if you have any questions or you want to have further talks, you can contact me directly either on Facebook or email me at khalil.himra@gmail.com. I am very eager to speak to aspiring entrepreneurs or startup founders, and I will share all my experience that I have gone through thus far, and I hope you the best in all your endeavors in the future. Thank you, and Assalamualaikum.